Hey everybody, it's Tom Foster in the world of marketing, and I've got my old buddy Charley Mann, who is what? I think you're a third. Is this the third time or the fourth time? I mean, you've got to be.
I guess it depends. In the world of marketing, in the world of marketing, I think it's the third time. But let's be honest. I've been on a few other videos. I tend to just show up from time to time.
That's right. Well, it's great, Charley Mann, great legal marketing.
Yep. And here's where I'm officially going to say for everyone listening, the script is about to be flipped a little bit here because you think Tom's about to interview me. Oh, no, you're wrong. I'm actually taking this opportunity to interview Tom, so Tom can lean back. I'm going to take over the show now. This is next episode of World of Marketing. I'm Charley Mann of Great Legal Marketing. I'm going to be interviewing the no longer CEO of Foster Web Marketing. I'm going to be interviewing the founder, the owner, the brand ambassador of Foster Web Marketing, Tom Foster. So Tom, welcome to the show.
Thanks, buddy. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Sincerely, I mean, when we arranged this and we were exploring ideas of what to talk about, I personally am genuinely interested in the journey that you just recently took, ascending out of the CEO role, because that represents a step that for many firm owners, they're still looking at how do I become the CEO? How do I become the decision maker? But we have people who are even thinking past that. How do I have a business that I own, but I'm not necessarily running it? I'm not even making all the strategic growth decisions for it. Instead, I am brand ambassador. I am the person in the community. I'm looking to build, develop relationships. So for those of you listening or watching this episode, I'm going to talk with Tom about that. And my hope for you is that you're going to take away ideas. How can I, in this journey of a guy who built from the ground up a software and marketing agency business, how can I take those ideas and translate it into my law firm? How can I take some of this vision and go, oh, this is something that excites me, this next step portion, this me beyond the law firm portion, but by way of Foster Web Marketing. So Tom, if you don't mind kind of giving a quick, here's what happened over the last 6 months. I mean, I'm sure this is a journey that has taken years, but just for those who are not totally familiar, like, wait, Tom's not the CEO. Can you kind of break that down for us?
Yeah, and thank you for it, Charley. Thanks, buddy. Well, it really started with traction. And I've been firing myself from positions or responsibilities over many years, but it wasn't. Last summer we were approached. I was approached to buy, serious people that wanted to buy Foster Web Marketing, and I entered into discussions with them. And and a lot of things came up during those discussions, and ultimately I decided not to do it, to sell, for many reasons, but for the most important reason is that we're just not ready to be sold, and I'm not ready to sell it. And they weren't going to pay me enough money to take care of everybody that I want to take care of.
Sure.
It would have been great for me. I could have walked away with a lot of big bag of money, but I have other people that I want to take care of that have been on this journey with me at Foster Web Marketing since the beginning. So it was really eye-opening for me. And so I read Traction.
Yeah.
Book by Gene Wickman. You read it, you know it. I'm sure that everybody, if you don't know it, you should read it. Anybody that runs a business, owns a business, should read this book. And anyway, and he introduces this thing called EOS, the Entrepreneur Operating System, which is basically how to put some real meat or some infrastructure behind running your business.
Yeah.
And so it was really then that where we started getting some real concrete infrastructure, some real kind of rules of the game, rules of management. And I built my leadership team, which is now, as you know, Buster Tate, who has been with me for 10 years, who was the COO, a CFO. We made him the CEO. Gretchen Upright, who's been with me for 15 years, and has been building the websites, the project manager really, this entire time building websites. We made her the COO, and we've just really gotten organized. And it was really through that process that allowed me to fire myself, and that wasn't a bad thing. It was and really what you're always trying to do, and Charlie, you know this.
Yep.
What you're always trying to do is delegate, and you've got to get to a point when you're running your business, whether it's a law firm or medical practice or any business, is that you cannot do it all yourself. That's E-Myth.
Yeah.
You cannot be baking the pie back in the kitchen and running the front. You cannot be running back and forth. That's how everybody starts.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to. But you want to really be either hiring good people or outsourcing every aspect of your business as soon as possible. And there's a certain order that you should do it.
Yeah.
And really, because both you and I have you for sure, and me, but you 100%, lawyers are our clients.
Yeah.
And law firms, and lawyers are unique. And we were just kind of talking about this. They are a unique business.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And they're not like other businesses. You can really say that. There are some common things that need to be done just like other businesses. But the way that, and especially contingency-based firms operate, personal injury firms, they are unique than everybody else.
Yes.
Doctors' offices, medical, they are unique. They have to, have codes, and they deal with insurance. And so they have a different way that they run their businesses too. But there's some fundamental stuff that is the same as every other business. Marketing is one of them. Marketing. Mm-hmm. The need to do marketing. The need to have that and to have that done in the right way is consistent for every business.
Yeah.
And that's something that we can agree on.
Oh yeah.
And that was something that obviously when I first started and you and I first met years and years ago, and you first started working with Ben, I did a lot of the stuff. I was still doing, consulting with a lot of SEO stuff, doing a lot of the marketing myself for the company. And yeah, now I've become more of the, as you said, the brand ambassador. Now it's my job to make sure, really my job is to protect my people, and get good people in here, and then protect them from the very clients that we have.
Well, so and one of the roles that you have is kind of brand ambassador, which is interesting because, okay, so the big thing here is transition out of the CEO role, which for most people represents pinnacle, right? That's top of the food chain. Of course, in larger corporate America, you can make the argument that, chairman of the board is really pinnacle of the food chain. And it's almost, to me, it sort of looks like you're a very public facing chairman of the board right now. You talk about being brand ambassador. So you still have interfacing with people. So what does compared to the previous role, CEO,
right?
What does the new role look like? And why did you make that transition just simply for yourself? Like, what excited you about making this transition?
Well, a lot of it was letting go of the ego of the CEO, like the ego of being the CEO. I thought about it, but I felt it was, so there was a couple of things. One, it was kind of empowering when I made the decision. Wow, I don't have to do that job anymore. Now, I have, and like I said, it was really the EOS journey, which I know that you guys do EOS too, so you understand this. It was really that whole visionary
integrator.
Role.
Oh yeah,
visionary and integrator, and I'm the visionary, and Buster's the integrator in our company. And it was really just always talking about that. And Ross Foca, who's our coach, and I know you guys are working with him too. He's fantastic. He was really, just talking about that. You're the visionary, you're the integrator. And then I just thought more and more about that and how it will give both Buster and I more freedom to do the very job of visionary and integrator, because if by being the visionary and the CEO, I was still visionary and integrator in some capacity. I was, because I holding on to that title. And so, we just kind of talked about it. It wasn't like a big moment or anything like that. I was like, it just makes sense. Like I want, and it was also very empowering for Buster, and Buster's been with me for a long damn time. And, it was almost kind of like, it's about time you came to your senses, Tom, to do this and step out of it. Obviously I'm still very involved. Nothing really has changed, except that now I go to him and Gretchen to get things done. Sure. Instead of it being on me to get the thing done, and now I go to them and most of the time it's already being done and they already have the plan and it's, it's kind of like, yeah, we got it. And it's them and telling me instead of me telling them. So it's been extremely liberating for me.
So from a functionality standpoint, in giving up the CEO role, obviously chief executive officer versus chief operating officer, where Buster used to be, functionally, how did that have to shift for him? In a traditional model, it would represent a move from obviously sort of overseeing the operations department to full strategic decision-making and potentially strategic control of the company. So what shifted there?
Well, first of all, it's a great question, and I thank you for it. First of all, he had to train Gretchen on his job. So, and that is something that we had been talking about, that we have been talking about for a long time, like, well over a year, about getting Gretchen, who has more than proved her greatness,
right,
in managing lots of stuff, and the way that she does it. And so for a long time we've been talking about it, and then because but really, but it's just too much for Buster to do all of it. And and I want him up. I want him with me. I want him doing a lot of the strategic stuff. I want him to do a lot of the brand ambassador stuff with me. And so he had to relinquish the operational duties. And so the first thing was really getting Gretchen kind of trained up. And when we made the decision, it really didn't take long. I mean, she just grabbed it and was off and running. And it's been what, 4 or 5 months now, and she's got it. And now it's more like she's just getting more and more out of him, and taking over all of the operational duties, and managing the people, managing the staff, managing all the contractors, managing everything is under her now. And it's freed him up to do more stuff with me. And one of the big things that we've been working on, that he's been working on, is that we're getting another SBA loan for $1 million to aggressively grow DSS. I've talked to you about this. We're working on our app. We're making DSS many things, drastically improving the CRM right now. We're working on that right now, making it work with WordPress much easier. You and I have talked about that.
Yeah.
And so we're, and also have it more agency friendly. So it can be, so any agency can use DSS just like they use WordPress and all the plugins. An agency can use DSS. So there's a lot of things that we're doing with the company. And so big thing is going after and getting this $1 million SBA loan. And it's not a whole lot of money, but there's a whole lot of crap you got to do to get an SBA loan, man. And Buster is perfectly suited to do that. That's, before he was with me, he worked 33 years in government services, and
that's what we'll call it, government services.
We'll call it that. So he knows the game.
He does.
And so he's perfectly. Now the other thing though is that he's still the CFO. So he's the CEO, CFO. So the next thing that we're trying to do is we need a CFO. So that's the other C-suite billet that we want to fill. I've got what I want to do there, and we'll see about if that's going to happen. And the other thing is that we're looking for a high-level business development individual that will. That's the last thing that I still do that is very integrated in the daily functioning of the company, where I still, I'm really the CMO.
Right.
And so, in our organizational structure of EOS, you'll see me as the visionary up here, owner, founder at the very top. Buster's the CEO, but I'm also down here, like kind of reporting to myself, reporting to Buster and Gretchen as the CMO.
Sure.
And I still have Molly reporting to me and Chad as the CMO. And so I'm looking to get that filled. And we've got our eyes on talking to some people about that right now. And hopefully that will work out. But that's kind of what I mean, Charlie, is that you're constantly looking to delegate your jobs out, and specifically for a lawyer or law firm, lawyers need to be practicing law, and they need billable hours working on their client. That's what they went to school for. That's what they have a business for. And so many of them, as you know, spend way too much time working on the business when they should be working on being a lawyer. They should be practicing law, and they should have people that, whether they outsource it or whether they hire somebody, to be working on the business of the law firm.
So for you, in becoming the, like, I like to call it the role sort of like chairman emeritus, right? You know, although you're not, they haven't retired you out all the way.
Chairman emeritus.
But they haven't put you out to pasture quite yet, have they?
No, not yet. They're trying.
Now with the whole like brand ambassador, you're still holding on to the CMO stuff. When this has fully become decoupled, where, you know, Tom is not necessarily a necessary operational component of the business, what is pinnacle relationship for Tom? What is peak relationship for Tom in terms of relating to your namesake, Foster Web Marketing, and allowing it to be something that could run with or without Tom? Like, what is that when you're looking ahead to that next journey?
It's kind of doing that. I mean, it's been doing that, and, you know, it runs without me. And that is incredibly freeing. And, you know, I just told you, I took spring break. I took a week off, took a week and a half off, and everything, you know, it's taken care of. And, oh, you're back? Oh, hello. You know, nobody's like calling me freaking out. You know, nobody's like asking me where to plug this in or what's going on with this. And everybody's on it, doing their job and doing a great job. And so, you know, really, I kind of like look at it like, I want to be like Richard Branson, you know, like he's still the face. He's still the guy there. I mean, he's not calling the shots. He's not in, but he's still the brand ambassador, as you say.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's who I kind of emulate or look up to. And, you know, that's where I want to be. I still am involved in certain meetings, like DSS is still very important to me, and the direction of where we're taking DSS. I'm the biggest, you know, cheerleader about the app. And, you know, I'm still, you know, I'm involved in like making sure that we've got this trademarked and we've got this, you know, like, can we get a patent for this? You know, I'm like doing stuff like that. And, you know, I'm also out there networking.
I was going to ask about that, you know, in terms of the relationships component, because you talk about like a Richard Branson, right? His job is sometimes to maintain relationships with high level stockholders, shareholders, to have relationships with businesses.
Yeah, with the big clients. I still enjoy coaching. You know, I still have coaching calls with clients. I just had one with Michael Monteforte earlier today. You know, one of our he's a client. You know, he's a icon with GLM and great guy. He was talking about it today. I still enjoy talking to clients and, you know, consulting, and I'll never stop doing that.
Right.
I'll never stop coaching and consulting, and I enjoy the networking. I enjoy, as a matter of fact, right after this, I'm jumping on a call that Chad's having with a new prospect, not a lawyer. It's a medical concierge. This is a very unique niche. But I met him, this new prospect, this new possible potential client. It's looking like it's going to happen. I met him through a lawyer friend, not yet a client. I've been chasing him for years. But at the cigar club down in Old Town at Rex, and ended up meeting him. What do you do? I do, you know, well, that's something I need. Well, next thing we know, we're talking. And that's, and I did that last night. I joined the Tower Club out in Tyson's Corner, and I'm out there networking out there, and really just, what do you do? Well, here's what we do. And, it's like C-suite people talking to other C-suite people. And, I enjoy doing that. I don't have to go back and build the thing. I don't have to go back and create the proposal. I just basically, when it gets to a certain point, I plug my team in. And so that's something that I'll keep doing forever. And that's what I enjoy doing. And that's kind of where I'm at. It's like a natural evolution, and it feels very natural. It feels very comfortable. I got a great group of, I've got a great team, and it's a great company that and I've just been very fortunate to have great people that have stuck around, great partners, great relationship with great legal marketing for all these years, and before you came on, it was Ben, and now you're taking over and running, and it's just, and what you've done with Heroes and Icons, Charley, is just phenomenal.
Thanks.
And it's fantastic stuff. And because I talk to we have a lot of mutual clients, so
you do.
I hear it from them, like the programs that you're putting on and all this stuff. And the other thing I wanted to talk about is how, in terms of the marketing, like I used to do, and still do, but to a much lesser degree, like I was the doing all the presentations.
Right.
So one of the that has been probably one of the more difficult things, is giving that up.
I was going to ask you, what is the thing that like you secretly miss doing, but know you're not supposed to be doing anymore?
That's it, is getting up on the stage and giving a presentation about SEO. That's not my skill anymore. I mean, right. There's my guys like can spin circles around me about it. And I'm not staying on top of it. I don't know, how to do pay-per-click. I don't know how to get, local to, page one. I don't know how to get LMA ads to work. I don't know how to do that stuff. But my team does very well, and they know how to do it, and I pay them a lot of money, for that, but they know their shit. And so it's been an interesting journey there, because I've feel when I do because sometimes I still do them, I feel like I don't feel like I'm being honest. Like I feel like I'm just taking somebody else's knowledge and just kind of presenting it.
Right.
And it doesn't feel very good. It doesn't feel very good to me. And so now, like I just had this conversation with Molly. About, because we're doing this webinar. She's working on this webinar. We're just starting to market this webinar workshop that we're going to do. And I'm like, well, who's doing the presentation? Like I'm like almost scared to ask. and they're very, very not. And they're like, well, do you want to do it? And I'm like, no, I don't want to do it. And they're like, good.
I actually know.
So we're kind of at that point.
Yeah.
So in a way, for a lawyer, do you really want to try this case? Or do you want to get the lawyers that you've been training to do it right? It's no different than when you took over when Ben just kind of like finally handed the reins to you, and you're doing the presentations, you're doing that, he might get up there and do the kind of like the host introduction and like, this is what it's going to be all about, and get everybody juiced up about it. But he's not doing all of the hard, all of the really the hard work of it. And that's kind of the same thing with me. And that was kind of like the last thing that, because I really had trouble with it. Like I was really for months, and I think you and I talked about this, I was kind of like lost about what to do there. And that was probably the most difficult thing. And I remember going through that too, though, when I kind of had to give up coding like years ago, because I was still coding and I still liked it. I still like coding DSS. And this was, God, 10, 15 years ago. But where I finally had to admit, you guys are way better at this than me, I need to move on. And it was very much the same thing. And that's what happens with each thing that you do in your business as you ascend to where I'm at as the owner, founder, and visionary, and whatever you said, chairman, emirate, whatever, and the brand ambassador. You got to give all that stuff up, but you're going to give it up to competent people, to people that you can trust to do it.
So it's my belief, Tom, that even people who are at the chairman emeritus, CEO, whatever level, there is still an innate desire. Like you mentioned the coding part, right? There's that innate desire. There's that little itch. Like your fingers are like, ooh, let me just go ahead and tinker, even if you're not actually doing it. There's still that. Yeah. How do you, and I think this is so important, how do you satiate that side of yourself, whether within the office or outside of work?
Wow, that's a good question. How do you satiate it? You just find, how do I best answer this? Other interests. You find out, okay, and it's almost like you can't do it. Like you can't go back to the easy thing. Like you want to go in there and tinker. You know that you can do it, and you have convinced yourself you can do it better than anybody else. Mm-hmm. Especially when stuff breaks, or something isn't going right, or you're not able to communicate with your people the right way. You're like, I'll just do it myself. And that is the very wrong thing to do, because you'll just always do that. And you'll never give your staff the chance to fail and get better, and fail and get better, because that's how you get better, is by failing.
Yeah.
And so you've got to resist that urge, and you have to just find new ways to grow, new things. And so the way that I've kind of done that is by introducing challenges. Like, for instance, you and I had this conversation, and this is really interesting, because you and I haven't had a follow-up conversation. So this is going to go on record here, because you and I haven't
I'm excited.
Actually talked about this, because when you and I met at the end of GLM, we were talking about WordPress, and mm-hmm. I'm like saying, I think we're going to start doing WordPress sites. And you were like, keep me posted on that. I'm very interested to know.
Yes.
And so I went to my team and I was like, I want us to start doing WordPress. I want us to be able to offer, to be able to do services for WordPress, and to And so I went to Buster, and so he started a charter for this project, and it went into development. And what was really interesting to me is that development pushed back hard and said, that is not the way to go. It's not the way to go for us to do WordPress. Because why? And I'm like, well, why? Well, DSS is better. And the fact is that all the people that I've got working back there in the shop, they all worked on WordPress. They all know WordPress. They know how to build a WordPress site. And the fact is, the reason why they're here is because DSS is better. And so what they said was, instead of doing that, let's just make DSS work with WordPress better. Let's show the world why DSS, because we haven't done a good job at that. Why is DSS better? You know, DSS has everything in it in one piece of code that is much more efficient and much more effective and faster and better and more secure than WordPress is, with which is open source, with, you know, what I call janky plugins, you know. And, you know, it's great, you know, it's more liberal, more, you know, like you can plug. Well, you can do a lot of that with DSS, but it's more fit. So that's one of the things. So I guess what I'm saying here is, like, I enjoy kind of almost challenging my team. So I'll run off and I'll have a big idea, like this app. I'm like, we're going to do an app, which is another, you know, reason for the loan, because this is going to cost $100,000. Build this app. We're a few months into it. It's probably going to take a year, but we should have something to show shortly about what it's going to look like. But basically, the DSS app is going to let you know about the leads that you're getting, so you can respond to the leads. You know, that's phase one. Be able to submit tickets and be able to get customer support and service, training. You know, phase two will be actually the CMS part, where you'll be able to do like text to speech to build your content. Obviously, you're going to need to use the desktop version of DSS to finalize it and all that kind of stuff, because you need to have that. But I'm pretty excited. There's nothing like that out there. So we're working on that. And so I guess you give up stuff, and you don't want to fall back into what's your comfort zone. You don't want to fall back into that. You kind of want to, you know, challenge yourself and by challenging yourself, you're challenging your people.
So I really like that particularly last lesson, Tom, right there, about the idea of you went in and you challenged your people, and the openness for them to be able to push back. And maybe this is the difference between being, say, the CEO and being the next step, just the owner, is walking in and saying, I have a great idea. Do with it what you will. Tell me if this is a good idea. You're more on it.
Is it a great idea? Is it a great idea?
Right.
You know, and you've got to be careful, because, you know, if you're a good leader, they're going to do whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to, and sometimes the doing whatever you want is not the best thing to do. So you got to be
someone
careful.
Put that pull quote somewhere real quick, right?
You want them to have that freedom to push back and tell you that you're wrong. Otherwise, it's dysfunctional, and you can do yourself a big disservice. So you know, that's why you get good people, make sure they do a J test. And I'm talking about
Jay Henderson. Yep.
And we don't hire anybody without a J test. Jay Henderson is our guy, one of my best friends, dearest friends, and everybody runs through that. And so, you know, they gotta have a good head on their shoulders. Loyalty is very important. You know, we're a small company.
Mm-hmm.
We aspire to be bigger, but we don't need to be, you know, I'm not looking to be the next Fine Law or the next Scorpion or anything like that. I'm not looking to, you know, have thousands and thousands, but I'd like a few hundred more of the best. And the best doesn't mean they're the biggest. The best just means that they're great clients, great partners, because this is a partnership. You know, we're a marketing company. You know, we're a marketing company that comes with a very unique proprietary system that works and works very well, but only if you work with it, not against it. And so you got to have that right kind of person, because otherwise we're not going to work with you. And we're very choosy about who we work with. And, you know, if you yell and scream and act like a child, you're not going to be here long.
It's a good policy to have in life and business.
Exactly. You know, I'm not going to put up with it, and I'm not going to get yelled at, and I'm not going to let you yell at my people. And, you know, that's that you got to be a good person and be realistic. This is a crazy industry. The industry of appeasing Google is a very difficult thing to do when that is a constant flux of changing the rules, not telling you, or telling you but then not actually adhering to them, the rules that they tell you to do, and then not adhering, you know, Google not adhering to them themselves, which has happened many times over the years.
Oh yeah.
And so you've got to trust the partnership, much in the very same way that a client needs to trust the partnership and the relationship of the lawyer. They might not like the way it's going. They might not like okay, so weren't able to settle for as much as you wanted, but those are the facts of the case.
Right.
You know, I don't care if you just saw somebody on TV win, you know, $10 million for something that you think is the same as yours. It ain't. The facts are different. And so the same rules apply. You know, just because this guy is on page 1 for Google, and they're a smaller firm than you, and you think that you're the biggest firm in the land, that doesn't give you the right to be on page 1 of Google, because you got other things going against you. So there's so many things that go into it, and it's critical to have that good relationship. And so just to kind of sum it up, I'm still very involved in that, and still very involved in making sure that we get the right kind of partners.
That's awesome. Well, we'll put a bow on it with that. Congratulations, Tom, on taking this next step. I know it's never easy to sort of say, I'm removing myself from that role that has sort of the most popular entrepreneurship. Look, I'm the CEO here. I'm the owner, founder, CEO. I'm the muscle that drives things. And to actually step back and instead operate more as the heart rather than the brain or the muscle. So congratulations on making that move. I'm excited to see what it brings for you. And so thank you, Tom, for being on my episode of World of Marketing. As from the Captain Phillips movie, Brian Beckham, who handled that case, I'm the captain now. But for real, thank you, Tom, for this conversation, for sharing some of the insider information on that, which I think the more that people like you sort of just tell the honest truth, sometimes it's very plain, right? It's we just kind of needed to make this choice and we made the choice. And sometimes it's I had to conquer my ego. There was a demon that had to be overcome, but I think it's valid and important to hear all the stories. So thank you for sharing yours today.
Well, brother Charlie, thank you for doing this. Thank you for turning it around. I always love talking to you and seeing you, and you're a good friend, great guy. And so thank you so much. So everybody, thank you for listening to the World of Marketing. Charlie Mann, my good friend, Great Legal Marketing.
I got you, buddy.
And Tom Foster. We'll see you soon. Take care.